Yeah.
And that automatically makes them members of the council?
No, it says that to be appointed onto a committee, you must be a member. So does that mean that they have to be members? So it's going along the same lines of, are these committees completely within the college councils, or are they without? Or
right.
Yeah.
So I guess we plan on addressing that. We talked a little bit in the President's Committee about varying laws in the different colleges and different college councils. And that's why we think that allowing the council to create this proposal itself is the best way to address those issues. I personally do not feel prepared to tell Council who they can and cannot appoint to this committee. That's what you have been elected to do. If you feel ill-prepared to make those decisions, then I think that that's something we would have to talk about, I think, outside of this meeting, I guess. Is that what I'm...
No, it's more of like a general overbroad statement for like, is there a standard of
method of selection?
Method of selection
okay.
for all of the councils to appoint these committees.
Yes, so that's something we talked about in the President's meeting as well. We all agreed we'd like to be as representative as possible on these CT-backs. However, I think you can understand that when liberal arts has 54 departments and centers and social work has 0, that's going to look different for every college and school. And so we added this resolve statement to allow for that. That's...
Correct.
Go ahead.
I don't know, once again, I'm sorry that we passed the friendly amendment, so perhaps you could add pursuant to each college's council's constitution. That would that be the concern? Yeah, so could we add the line in pursuant to each council's constitution? Yeah. Lines 50, 53, somewhere in there. Each college council, Senate college council, will create a college-specific CT-back proposal pursuant to its constitution, or each of their constitutions.
Okay. My one concern is I think that that's addressed, but to be approved by each respective college councils, because the councils couldn't approve something, according to parliamentary, couldn't approve something that would be counter to their constitution.
Okay, I mean, it's just a specific guideline. There are a lot of different concerns there.
Right. I mean, I don't care one way or the other, but I think it's taken care of by that statement.
Is there any other discussion or debate? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to close the debate.
I'm sorry, forgive me. Is there a second to that? Do we have a motion to approve? Okay, so keeping in mind that friendly amendments have been added to lines 31 and 36, and that a resolve statement has been added at line 50 since the resolution was introduced 2 weeks ago. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. And any abstentions? Okay, the resolution passes.
Okay, moving on to new business, SB 1002, amending the Constitution and bylaws of the Senate of College Council.
My name is David, and I'm the Policy Director for the Senate of College Councils. I don't think we get formally introduced, but I look forward to working with all of y'all producing the legislation that will be concerning this upcoming year. As for the first legislation of this upcoming year that I'm directly responsible for, SB 1002, amending the Constitution and bylaws of the Senate of College Councils, it essentially is covering a need, or it is addressing the need to update and revise the Constitution and bylaws of the Senate of College Councils to reflect current desired current practices. So it just has been that the Constitution does serve as our official governing documents, and they have not been recently revised to look at whether or not what we're doing, what it says in the Constitution is actually what we're doing. So this is what this bill, in a nutshell, is essentially trying to do. And of course, there are many details to that, which we'll be going through shortly. Going through this presentation, we're actually going to be following the outline that's in the policy brief. So if you turn to the last page of your agenda, it should actually just follow along that. We've already gone through the background purpose and summary. So essentially, it'll just fix any grammatical mistakes that are in there. I know that's kind of trivial, but technically speaking, that's what we're supposed to do with the Constitution. It's going to add descriptive information where needed just to provide information to those who are unfamiliar with Senate so that they can be more familiar and have a better understanding of what we do and how we do it. And this will provide some enacted statements along those lines. And then finally, we'll update out-of-date practices that no longer reflect how we can best serve students as the voice of student, as the official voice of students in academic affairs. So we're just quickly going to run through this. So whereas just essentially summarizes what essentially I told you about why we need to be revising the Constitution and what the purpose of the Constitution is. Specifically, we're going to the enacted statements, which are, I guess, the primary concerns for tonight. First of all, there's no place in the Constitution that specifically describes what Senate agencies are. So this, the first enacted statement there will describe what a Senate agency does and how they become, and how they help us to achieve our mission as the Senate College Councils. The second removes the requirement. Currently, it states in the Constitution that Senate representatives are required to serve on at least one academic committee. We realize that that is not being reflected in current practice, so that we will not make that a requirement. We understand that Senate representatives are busy. If they choose to serve on one, then the amendment still allows for that, but this allows representatives to opt out of that if they do not want to. Furthermore, the next one, talking about financial directors, it changes the eligibility of Senate financial directors to serve ex officio as members of standing academic committees. What essentially that means is ex officio, by virtue of the fact that you hold the position of financial director, you're technically eligible already for appointment, but because the role of financial directors in Senate is to revise on specifically budgetary decisions, and because that's not the scope, so to speak, of the Senate standing academic committees, that's a change that has been proposed. And then going on to the next one, lines 58 through 64, fix a small grammatical error there. Lines 66 through 84, it updates the article about how college vote decisions actually occur, because what it says in the Constitution actually is that essentially it's supposed to be the president, financial director, and Senate rep. Between y'all three, y'all get to vote and decide how y'all vote as a council, rather than reflecting the opinion of the council itself. So we thought it would be better to more democratically reflect what your college council wants, rather than y'all just perhaps having jury nullification, so to speak, here in the General Assembly. And then lines 86 through 96, the wording, it makes it appear that only the President's Committee can originate amendments to the Constitution, and we wanted to allow more entities and individuals to allow for that, or to create amendments and amendments to the Constitution and bylaws of the Senate and College Councils. Lines 98 through 107 remove the expectation that Senate reps serve as a provider of programming. Lines 109 through 123 fix small grammatical error. Lines 125 through 128, it removes the Global Leadership Center as an agency. They were added 2 years ago, but because they are no longer a current registered student organization, they have not really been active. We are going to or rather eliminate them as an agency of Senate, because they have failed to comply with our minimum requirements that we expect of Senate agencies. Lines 130 to 131 moves the list of agencies from the Constitution to bylaws, because even the official list of councils is actually now in the bylaws. So it's kind of weird to have the agencies in the Constitution and the councils and bylaws. So this was designed to better reflect the relative importance of agencies. Not saying that they're unimportant, but at least councils are more important in the grander scheme of things. Lines 133 through 149 establish more clearly the rules specifically regarding timing of discussion and debate, because as far as the introduction of the legislation, there's nothing specifically in there that indicates how long it can be at the moment. Lines 151 through 161 is just an internal change about the reporting structure of the Multimedia and Publicity Committee. Lines 163 through 175 just made a few changes to the description of policy director. It's mostly wording changes there. Yes, currently it actually only says that, or there's a part in there that says, or that he will report, and then it doesn't really actually allow for the possibility of a female policy director. It seems grossly unfair. And in lines with gender equity, which is a major concern for us, we definitely don't want to preclude that from happening and say that it's unconstitutional that the female policy. Anyways, I'm going on to the next two. It said adds the description of the executive and administrative director, as we did make that a formal change, increasing the executive board and adding the administrative director back in. So we wanted to be able to give just a more formalized description of what the expectations of these two new roles are. And let's see, lines 202 to 213, that's just again following up on the multimedia and publicity thing. Lines 215 through to 227, it describes essentially the requirements for Senate executive officers to receive their stipends, just to make it more clear how we're held accountable for the work that we do represent you all. And lines 229 to 237, pick a small grammatical error. And yeah.
That's great.
That, but I just wanted to make sure. I know it's a very, very long piece of legislation, perhaps the longest piece of Senate legislation ever written. So I just wanted to make it clear that I'm not trying to pull a fast one on y'all or anything with what I'm writing in here, so just to make that clear. All right, that being said, are there any questions?
You guys get paid?
Surprise!
Yeah. You have a Tuesday stipend at lunch.
Yes. I would like to clarify that that allows for maybe students who have to work to also serve as your Senate president. So,
yes. Because just to make clear, our expected work obligations for those of us who do receive stipends are 80 hours. And if we do not fully document 80 hours, then we do not receive our stipend. And actually, for example, me, who receives 125 for 80 hours, that's around $1.50. So I mean, I'd be willing to do this position for free, but
right.
It does definitely help if you have to commit that
much time. Some of them do the position for free. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Sorry, could you explain the enacting of lines 51 and 54? I guess I'm just a little confused about. Are you changing? Is it simply a wording issue, or is it you're actually changing the eligibility?
I'm so sorry. Could you restate which part of the?
51, 54, talking about financial directors, being ex-officio members.
Okay, yeah. Essentially, what that says is that financial directors are essentially currently eligible for appointment ex officio by virtue of the financial director's status as a financial director. But because the role of the financial director in Senate is to directly serve on the financial committee, overseeing not only budget decisions but appropriations, it was I guess decided that it may not be essentially within the scope of the financial director to ex officio serve on standing academic committees. This is not to say that financial directors who have an interest beyond their financial duties can't serve as an at-large, just they would have to go through the process that all of the other at-larges in here have to go through as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we will be voting on this next week.
Yeah. So if y'all have any questions about any enacted that comes up, my email address is at the end of the policy brief, so just shoot me any emails about anything, any questions you have about any enacted.
Is it too late to fast track this?
I don't think so. Is there a motion to fast track?
I would like to make a motion to fast track this legislation.
Second. Okay, we need a 2/3 majority vote to fast track this tonight. So I think we're gonna have to do. Oh, well, actually, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Is that 2/3? Okay, great. Well, thanks, guys. Oh, yes, we have just voted to fast track. We have not voted. Thank you for clarifying. I'm so glad we have a policy director. Okay, so all those in favor of SB 1002? Aye. All those opposed? All those abstaining? Great, SB 1002 passes. One for gender equity, y'all. Okay, do we have any agency reports? Moving on to committee reports, we have Emily with Academic Enrichment Committee. San Francisco.
For Academic Enrichment, I'm Emily.
San Francisco. First off, I'd like to start off with, we are hosting a study abroad focus group. It's going to be next Monday here in the SSB room G 1.106. What we need from y'all is 15 people that have studied abroad. We'll be asking you questions, just what you like about your study abroad experience, what you didn't, what you want to change, and if you come with your BPPs. So if you would come see us afterwards, if you're interested, we'll be right back here.
I also want to ask all the Senate reps here, I sent out an email to kind of ask for help. We're moving around a giant world map across the campus. We'll explain that later. But I emailed y'all kind of asking for help with that. So if you haven't responded to my email yet, just let me know. Send me one maybe as soon as you can, because we're trying to get this squared away. But y'all who have responded, thank you. And we also want to kind of bring up something that the VSLC, which is the Volunteer and Service Learning Center, has a